It's a new year. Happy New Year. Today we're going to be discussing the one thing that you need to do this year to make it the best year yet. On this episode of Bootstrap MD. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Bootstrap MD. It is a new year, 2022, and that means that we can say goodbye to 2021. It was a crazy year for me, probably just as crazy as 2020. As most of you know, I've had some personal setbacks with the loss of my father, but what made it doable for me was being able to have additional streams of income, having revenue generating assets that kept me and my family going, where I did not hardly see any patients at all in the last 6 months, and because I'm not dependent on having one active stream of income. And so it got me thinking, just to show you how blessed I felt because of that. I want to give you the same opportunity. If you currently have one revenue generating income, which is most likely your job, let's make it this year that you're going to get an additional stream of income. I think that is a worthy goal, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. And it got me thinking why most doctors don't develop more revenue generating assets. I've been asking myself this for years. I've worked with hundreds of doctors, and my list is in the thousands. And, everybody was interested in getting additional stream of income, but then nothing happens. And I think it's because of three reasons. And it's the self-limiting beliefs that we all have at one part, including myself, and I continue to have anytime I have a generating asset, and maybe it's taking too much time or it's costing me too much money. It always goes back to mindset. I mean, people don't like to talk about it. That when we have courses that discuss entrepreneurship and the topic comes about mindset, it's usually the one most people skip, but it's so important, and that's usually what keeps many doctors from generating additional streams of income. But I think I have a solution for it that I'll share in just a few minutes. But first, let's go over these beliefs that we have, these self-limiting beliefs that we can't generate revenue-generating assets. I think number one is most doctors feel it costs too much money. They see things like investing in real estate or investing in a syndication, or investing in property in general, it's going to cost thousands of dollars, and it can, for sure. However, if you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't cost a lot of money to develop a business. Well, obviously, it depends on the type of business that you have, but as I mentioned, if you want to be a coach or be in consulting, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Most businesses can get started in less than $100. Just using your knowledge, your expertise, and then marketing, telling the world that you have this expertise that you're willing to share with the world and get paid for it. And I've seen consultants, I talked with one who's now gone in six figures, and it did not cost him a lot of money to get started with it. Now he's developed courses and coaching, and there wasn't a lot of money to it. Now, certainly there are some investments that you do. It can cost a pretty penny, but you could also buy an existing business that you can get an online business that is already generating revenue. You can go to a site like flippa.com or Empire Flippers, and you can find sites that are already generating some type of income every month. So don't have that as a self-limiting belief. I also know people who are in training or who are residents who have invested in properties. There are things that is possible that you can get no money down, on some real estate. Now, obviously, you need to do your due diligence on these deals, but you can make it work if you really want it done. Number two self-belief is that it costs too much time. And I don't take a lot of stock into this because many people, many doctors who I've seen, and not just doctors, I've worked with non-physicians as entrepreneurs, and they say they don't have time, but then I see on their social media how they're going on, their vacations, or they're talking about their favorite shows or their favorite sports teams, or they're on social media 10 times a day. And yes, just like as in anything, especially if you're new to all this, you have to do your due diligence, you have to do your research. There is work that's being involved. There is no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. However, if you truly want to develop a revenue-generating asset, information is there. You can start it. If you want to get involved in short-term rentals, you can start reading books about it. You can start watching YouTube video about it and start doing your research. Now, there comes a time, obviously, when research has to turn into implementation. So, there's that too, and you have to get over that hurdle of actually pulling the trigger. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't have a lot of time on this planet. I've mentioned this before. When I wanted to start my business, I basically used my kids as motivation for me. And my thing is I wanted to spend more time with my kids. And when my son was 6 years old, he was in, what was that, kindergarten, first grade. And so I'm saying, if he's going to go off to college, I might have 10 or 11 summers with him. And I wanted to spend more time and seeing them grow up because that was important to me. So when you break that down, there's not a lot of time that we have. When you subtract, being in traffic and working and, going to sleep and using the restroom, that's all time that is dedicated. And then what time do we have with it? So my thing about having a revenue generating asset, money that was being generated while I was sleeping, that was very important for me to have. And that allowed me to leave my job and have the lifestyle that I wanted. And then number 3 is that developing or creating a revenue generating asset is too complicated. You guys are smart. The top of the top graduate from medical school. And there are people who will see I want to start a business, but it's just too complicated and I don't want to do it. And there are people who said the same thing about going into medical school, but you did it. And like I just mentioned, everything is out on the open. If you want to find information on a particular subject, it's already out there online. You just have to track it down. You have to read the books. If you want to be the best surgeon, you study the best surgery books. You follow and have mentors. And that's what you need to have in any type of... If I'm looking at developing a revenue generating asset, I will spend the money, read the books, and then if I want to get to the next level, I hire a mentor. I've done that when I wanted to go into stock market and options trading. I did that. I did that when I wanted involved in real estate and learn about syndications. I did that and had mentors and reached out to those people because I'm not so smart enough to figure it out on my own. People have already done that for me. That's why we have mentors. So, yes, if you don't have a lot of money, then you need to spend the time reaching out. But the good thing is that there are people who are teachers out there who I will pay them because they've already gained the knowledge for their time and so that they can teach me what they've learned so I don't make the same mistakes, the mistakes that they've done and they've probably paid the hard way. So just like as any subject, you need to have revenue generating assets as a subject that you need to master. It's all about developing a wealth building mindset. Just one revenue generating asset at a time. So, we already have one, as I mentioned, and that's our job, our active job. And you need to use that to your advantage. I like to think of it like athletes, right? You've seen athletes, pro athletes, they make millions of dollars, but you know that their time to actually be an athlete is limited. You know, a running back in the NFL, I think the average is about 8 years. So at the time that he is involved, he's making a lot of money. But if he doesn't have learn about investing or has poor money managers around him or doesn't even bother to learn that, we've all heard the stories about how someone can get so much money and then become poor because they didn't develop the assets. And if you don't think that happens to you, I've seen that with doctors. And that's the way that you have to start thinking it, is that you're only going to become a doctor for a certain amount of time. And if you want to retire early, that's going to become even shorter. So use that money, because you are blessed to be in a high income bracket. Use that time not to spend on a boat or or things that don't develop revenue, and start using it for investing. Start developing on mentoring. Start developing coaches. Start using it to develop building a business. Now is the time to use that money for investing. It's interesting too is that the one revenue generating asset that all doctors have is usually the one that's taxed the most. So even learning how to keep your money, learning how to have tax reduction strategies is going to be in your best interest. And no one taught us that in medical school. That's why we have to learn it for ourselves. And I think the tide is turning, but we're still a small minority of doctors who do this. And I see many doctors who say, well, I just give it to some type of financial manager. And they don't realize is that the money they're making, they're not keeping, because their eyes are off the ball and they're not paying attention to what they need to be doing. And that is investing in these revenue generating assets. So I've talked about having that wealth building mindset, wealth creation mindset, and develop multiple streams of income. It was a book that I read many, many years ago, Multiple Streams of Income, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and talked about having just one. If you only have one source of income, that is like you're really, they say JOB, just over broke. And it's really, you get injured. Yes, I guess you could get liability insurance, but then that's it. What can you do? And that my thing is about developing multiple streams of income, and I break it down to active income, passive income, and then passion income. Your active income can be your job. Passive income can be investments that you're not, you're basically using that money to develop, to generate revenue each and every month. And then there's passion income, things that you like to do. And maybe your passion income becomes your active income. So I talk about that in consulting work. So in my case, I have my active income. I am an owner, a practice owner. I also do some work with the medical board. I do some passive income. I have passive income. I have real estate. I have rental properties. I just got involved in syndications in this last year. I own equity in a number of clinics and businesses. I sell courses. I own a membership site. And then I have my passion income, which is active income, but it's things that I want to do. So I coach entrepreneurs. I work with... I have a business where I work with practice owners who want to grow their practice, medical practice. And those are things that I like, but it does involve more time. But it allows me to control my own time. So if I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it. I didn't take on any one-on-one clients in the last part of the year just because of family obligations and everything that was going on. And that's what having those revenue generation assets allowed me to do that. And that's what I want for you. And why I think doctors have a hard time getting their head around this is that we were all taught the slow track to wealth. You know, do well in school, get good grades, get to the top of your class, and then go into some type of professional school, acquire more loans, and then you work hard. You graduate, you work hard for 40 to 50 years, and then hopefully your Social Security and your 401k that you invested will take care of you. And that's not necessarily true, as my mom, who got her 401k cut when we had the housing crisis down, learned the hard way. So you can become a millionaire. It depends if you want to do it slow, if you do want to do it fast. The fast way is to work hard for a limited period of time, whatever that is for you. Use the money to invest in revenue generating assets, invest or create the revenue generating asset. Then, when you're ready to, stop working and allow those revenue generating assets to propel you for life, and keep investing on the money from those, and then keep developing more revenue. And then later you can sell the assets if you want, or give them to your children, whatever you want. I see too many people who work for a job and then at the end they don't have any assets to live off of. And that's not a position I would want for you. And so when I feel that there's a solution to that is that it's all about who influences you. And when I was working as a primary care doctor, I didn't have a lot of great influences in terms of entrepreneurship. It was work as hard as you can at work, and then get out as fast as possible. And then go and do the same thing every day. And I think it's that mentality. If I was to surround myself with people who have this revenue generating activity, this fast track to wealth mentality, it would make a big difference. And that's why it made a big difference when I left it. And then I was surrounded by these folks. I'm sure you've heard the whole adage, your income is dependent on the average income of your 5 people you surround yourself with. So I surrounded myself with people who made a lot more money than me, who had an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset, who had developed businesses, who had a lot of investments. And I just want to continue hanging around those people, because that's how they influence me. When I have that small-minded thinking, it's a lot harder now with COVID because we don't travel as much, but it's almost like when I go to a conference and, I went to a conference and I was able to hang around those same people and we would have lunch, and it's just like, it reminded me of why I need this, why I need to surround myself with these innovators and thinkers. So that's what you need to do if you have trouble, is to start surrounding yourself with other people who want to pursue these, or have already pursued these goals, and you want to hang around the people where you want to get to where they're at. And so when it comes to revenue generating assets, what should you choose? Well, there's lots of different factors. If you have more time than money, then, in my opinion, a business is the best way. I think a business is the best revenue generating asset you can have. However, if you've got more money than time, investments is the best way. That you maybe you don't want to be as active and just want to be hands off. I want to put my money here and I want to make a return at the end of the year, and that's okay too. You also have to look at what your risk tolerance is. Someone who is graduating from residency will probably have a higher risk tolerance than someone who is close to retirement. It'll depend on your experience. I love searching for solutions. I love trying to find solutions. I know there's a solution out there, and I like kind of figure out things like I love like biographies of how people have made their wealth and what they've done. That interests me. That may not interest you. Looking at my current revenue generating assets that I mentioned, I like marketing, I like teaching, so I naturally gravitated to consulting. I invested in medical clinics just because what I know and what I've learned, and I have that experience. There was a barrier to entry in those revenue generating assets. I like the stock market because it goes along with that, identifying businesses and entrepreneurship. And the idea is that, finding this one company that later will 10x your money is very attractive to me. But then there are other investments that I'm not as interested in. I'm not that interested in real estate. I'm not interested in being a landlord. And that way I'm looking at more towards like a syndication or investing in a fund in real estate rather than being a landlord. Although I own property, it's just not for me, what I wanted to do. So what revenue generating asset do you want to do? Like I said, I think becoming a business, an entrepreneur, you probably wouldn't be listening to the podcast if you did not gravitate towards entrepreneurship. And I'm including real estate in that because when you buy real estate, you have to form your own business entity. So where do you stand? Where do you stand on that? And my challenge to you this year is to develop one revenue generating asset, whether it be getting started in real estate, whether it be starting your own business, whether it is starting an Amazon store, whatever that is, do your diligence, decide that's what you want to do, make a decision, that's what you want to do, and then go for it. That is your goal. And this is especially to someone whose only revenue generating activity is what they're currently doing. Because I see too many people who say the only way that I can make more income is to see more patients, and that is a road to disaster. I'll share with you a quote for the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. My rich dad taught me to focus on passive income and spend my time acquiring the assets that provide passive or long-term residual income. Passive income from capital gains, dividends, residual income from business, rental income from real estate, and royalties. And that's from Robert Kiyosaki. Warren Buffett is even more blunt. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And, H.W. Charles, the key is to work extremely hard for a short period of time, create abundant wealth, and then make money work hard for you through wise investments that yield a passive income for life. I couldn't say it better myself. So I challenge you this year, develop that one income stream, that one revenue generating asset. Drop me a line that you're doing that. You've done this and you're willing to commit. And I want to celebrate with you. I'll just celebrate that achievement. And once you do, I think it will be the best year yet for you. And no matter how difficult, don't let it keep you down. It's all about keep moving forward.